Hello everyone and welcome again to another episode of The Committee Reads. I am your host KWCs and with me today I have Bacon, Grayshot, Alex, and Ditto. And today we will be going over match 145, Megalon vs. Zandora, or Zandora, whatever, by Joshua Reynolds. His feet propped up on a technological display, the gold-clad GojiraGuy boss held his head tilted. His facial expressions never changed, but today it seemed as if that eerie, tooth-lined mouth had grown even wider. This was, after all, a swell day for the Empire that claimed dominance over an entire galaxy. Ultraman, Zone Fighter, Gamera, even Godzilla. They had failed to stop his conquest of the Earth. Reports were coming in from all over as mankind unleashed their most powerful creations against the GojiraGuy's terror beast army. But they'd fail.
This is already unrealistic.
When compared to the show, yes. But of course they'd fail. The GojiraGuys were unstoppable. Don't you know this is just taking place? Don't you know this is just taking place in the fantasy of the GojiraGuys?
It's all a dream.
Let's just run with that. Anyway, the GojiraGuys were unstoppable, with such mighty behemoths bred for the sole purpose of galactic conflict. What on earth could possibly stop them? A silver-hued soldier walked into the command room, bowing down as Gold GojiraGuy spun his seat to face him. Yes, he declared, annoyed at being disturbed during his thoughts of absolute victory. Sir, the Silver One lifted his body up. The 33rd Unit has uncovered a secret city. The commander's head tilted. If his bulbous black eyes were capable of narrowing, they would have. Oh? The soldier nodded. It's hidden underneath the Pacific Ocean, under the seafloor near the island the Earthlings call Easter. Is it habited? We don't know, sir. The silver extraterrestrial paused. We dispatched a drone, but it has gone missing. The Gold GojiraGuys turned away from the Silver One, reclined back, and propped his legs back on the terminal. It's underground. Dispatch Zandora. Emperor Antonio stood on the balcony of his kingdom, viewing the sprawling metropolis that had remained hidden from the rest of the world. His kind, offshoots of humanity, wished no war. They attacked just once, but were repelled. It was a great regret and humility, but mankind had stopped all of their underwater nuclear testing ever since. His hands behind his back and head lowered, he somehow felt responsible for the mass chaos that he knew would soon reach his doorstep. Seatopia wasn't like any other civilization on Earth, but it would be targeted nonetheless. He knew it. Defenses were heightened, preparations for mass evacuations made. He even hoped to renew the alliance with Space Hunter Nebula M, but the galactic insects had yet to acknowledge. Pass.
A female voice came from behind the white-bearded mortal. Scanners detect something heading this way. He turned his crowned head. Another drone? Intercept it. Destroy it. The woman shook her head as she trembled. No, sire. This is something far larger. Antonio's eyes narrowed as a bead of sweat trickled down his temple. He sighed. Then they finally come. Will our defenses hold? Antonio looked up, eyes peering into the artificial sun that loomed over their hidden civilization composed of spiraling crystal structures and pyramids. No, he said coldly, but Megalon will. The rocky ceiling miles above the artificial sun began to fracture. Boulders of tremendous size fell, smashing into the crystal skyscrapers. Thousands of Seatopians fled for their lives as the ceiling gave way, sending an entire downpour of rock into the streets. A flood of earth swallowed up the section of the city, breaking structures taller than any of those found on the surface. A dust cloud filled the entire metropolis, causing Antonio to turn around, walking alongside the woman and back into the kingdom. Get to the evacuation routes, he declared, ordering her away. What about you? If Seatopia dies, so shall I. A thunderous bellow came from the unending downpour of Earth's crust. A massive shape fell. It was humanoid with 2 legs and 2 arms and dragging tail. Its body a rusty brown and silver, almost metallic-like in appearance. Its hands lacked fingers entirely, but appeared to be more like some sort of spade or shovel. Located within the tips, several small holes. Its head was the most bizarre aspect, or the complete lack thereof. In place of anything remotely resembling a skull, it was tipped with a tremendous rotating drill. Underneath, dozens of circular tubes spewed clouds of white burning steam. Zandora pointed its hands at the sprawling structures around it. From the small holes, blasts of hissing steam spat. The steam superheated the crystals, causing some to melt and others to outright explode. A bolt of lightning struck... Oh, pass.
A bolt of lightning struck from out of nowhere. The ground in front of the terrapin shot up in a mixture of rock and sparks. The thing stumbled back, smashing its limbs into the side of a buried pyramid. A booming roar echoed in the metropolis as another bolt of golden power shot down, this time hitting it. Zandora shouted in a mixture of pain and rage as his chest blossomed into an explosion of lights and smoke. The tubes surrounding its head began to spew even larger amounts of steam, obscuring it from view as a third bolt fired. Then he landed. The guardian of Zootopia. A tremendous thud sound as Megalon's call was heard for the first time in several decades. He had awakened once more to protect his subterranean home. The insect's hand dropped to his sides, metallic drills spinning. His star-shaped horn surged with raw electrical bliss. His beetle-like wings clamped shut, forming a protective shield of beautiful black and yellow patterns. His bulbous yellow eyes reflected the grotesque image of the bizarre terror beast. Zandora bellowed with fury and stepped forward, lifting both colossal arms and spewing a spray of scalding hate. The cloud of steam struck Megalon like a fire hose of tremendous size. The bipedal insect stumbled back, its body racked by the blast. He leapt to the side, dodging another stream as Zandora turned, waving its stream blast back and forth. Megalon's mandibles parted, splitting an orb of crimson. The ball struck the ground and rolled several meters before detonating at the feet of the Empire's Kaiju. A blooming blast of fire and smoke rose up higher than the terror beast stood tall and covered its entire front half in sizzling napalm. The drill-headed thing fell back, rolling onto its chest and belly to extinguish the blaze. Jumping once more, Megalon then buzzed into the air as his wings sprang open. His hands joined over his head and combined drill began to spin. He took the form of a torpedo, began to dive, drill pointing at the fallen monster. Zandora rolled away, smashing its bulk into the bases of several structures. Megalon smacked the pulverized ground, missing Zandora entirely. As he stood tall, Zandora's arms lashed out, slapping each side of the skull. The insectoid stumbled ahead, limbs falling as the drill-headed abomination. I thought that said amphibian at first, and I was like, what? Rested its assault. Lifting his spade arms, Megalon protected the sides of his skull as Zandora followed his blind charge, smashing through entire streets of the Zotopian city. Do I go on, or is it a pass?
4 more.
4 more? Okay. The terror beast failed to notice that Megalon's mandibles dropped bombs. The domino effect of explosions filled the carnage, leaping directly up to Zandora. The thing moaned aloud. Oh my. Its back catching a flame from the fountain of napalm. Megalon spun around, his arms slamming together. The drill began to spin. He lunged forward, driving the tip into Zandora's chest cavity. Oh my! His shell exploded into buzzing wings, carrying Zandora upward as the drill began to spin. Scanning steam erupted from Zandora's body as it carried up, mere meters away from the rocky ceiling. Megalon buzzed away, allowing gravity to take effect. Zandora began to fall nearly 1,000 meters, leaving a streaming trail behind. His wings folding back into place, Megalon pointed his arms above his head and shot down like a missile, its entire body spinning like a drill. He was armed with Zandora's arms pointing at the shooting star. A kaiju tube spewing concentrated blast of stream, but it was too late.
You may
Megalon
pass. Pass.
Okay, pass.
Megalon. Let me see. Yeah, Megalon shot. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Megalon shot through the cloud. His spinning body impacted Zandora's midsection, The Terror Beast's body began to spin with a drill as Megalon tunneled into its guts. Thousands watched in awe until nothing but an apocalyptic crash sounded. The entire city shuddered, smaller structures collapsing around the impact zone. A colossal mushroom-shaped cloud of dust rose as high as the ceiling would allow, before blanketing the rest of the underground paradise. What was mere seconds felt like hours until something began to move. That something gave the Seatopians a sigh of relief, for it was Megalon. The beetle god bellowed, horns surging with electrical power. Had he won? Then another figure appeared. Zandora was wounded. A hole in its guts spilled a sort of green, vile fluid. Several of the tubes surrounding its drill were either crushed or broken. And finally its left arm was severed entirely, each pump of its dark heart causing a spray of green mist fountain from its shoulder. Zandora, return, the Garoga's commander's voice beckoned it. The Terror Beast turned its back to Megalon. It began to rush, fleeing to the nearest wall. Its head lowered and drill began to spin. Watching the battle unfold from his palace, Emperor entered. Don't let it escape, Megalon. Show these invaders how powerful we see Topi. The insect's arm shot to his sides as he roared. His wings unfolded and buzzed to life, sending the beetle shooting ahead. Zandora reached the wall, burrowing into it at a speed faster than sound. In an instant it was gone, but Megalon followed. Drilling into the same cave that he created, both Terror Beast and Kaiju tunneled through the Earth's crust, unknowing of what waited for them topside. Zandora exploded from the grassy ground. If it had eyes, it could see the blue heavenly sky and endless ocean surrounding the small island. You could see the mysterious idols of human faces carved out of stone. You would see that it appeared on one of Zootopia's most holy sites outside of the hidden city, Easter Island. Suddenly, Megalon erupted from the same hole. Zandora turned, but got nothing but a hard smash by the beetle god's drill. It fell back, its remaining arms spitting steam. Megalon's left spade protected his face as his horn fired back, zipping the thing with electrical bolts. Where are we? The drill began to hiss and glow, scorching the flesh at its base, rolling away from the barrage of electricity. The Terror Beast climbed to its feet. Megalon closed the gap, swinging his other arm like a bat. A tremendous bang rang out as drill met drill, point blank. More steam swallowed Zootopia's protector. A painful cry came from the insect as he stepped away, firing blindly into the white steam. Is that a pass, or?
One more.
Okay. Zandora charged through the barrage, its body lowered, and drill positioned to take out Megalon. The Seatopian god leapt to the side, avoiding the charge while a crimson orb catapulted from his jaws. Zandora turned, but was quickly floored by an exploding napalm bomb detonating at its feet, its lower torso aflame. Zandora patted the blaze with its remaining arm. Jumping again, Megalon landed on top of the Terror Beast, pinning it down with its weight. The beetle god's mouth parted and released another bomb, dropping inside the hole in Zandora's stomach. With his left drill, he stuffed it into the hole, plugging it, and passed.
A cloud of steam erupted. Zandora tried its best to remove him. However, the bomb then detonated. A thunderous boom came from within its body as its torso blew in half. Megalon slumped forward, catching himself with both drills as each half of Zandora catapulted in other directions, raining green ooze over the island and the ancient statues on it. Within the dancing fire, Megalon stood soaked in boiling blood of Zandora. He stood victorious, bulbous eyes watching over the horizon as the sun began to set. But something was off. Normally there would be seagulls or something. Something else would be on the island, but there was nothing, as if they had already been scared off. A series of explosions tore across the ground. Megalon stumbled back before falling to his knees. More rockets fell like rain, pulverizing the soil around him. Not even the ancient statues were spared. They too were obliterated in the hellfire. Oh no, someone killed all the Squidwards. His head looked up, tilting as a sort of mechanical demon dropped with a trio of parachutes carrying it. It was the source of the blast. Lightning like bolts fell in numbers, blasting Megalon down with the force of an army. When Jikiro touched the ground, it gave way from its titanic weight. The mechanical dragon loomed over the fallen beetle god. A single beam of crimson light struck its back, splitting apart into dozens of smaller explosions covering its frame. Megalon's head moved to the side as an all too familiar cry rang. The blue blur flew over Chiquito and landed with a thud, spinning on its heels and pointing blades at the thing. Sorry, old friends, we've been busy. A voice somewhere in space. But we do owe these Grogas a bit of payback. Winner, Megalon.
Alright.
Nice.
So first off, I do have to say, I think it could be just because the past few have been somewhat underwhelming for me. I like this one. As silly as the idea is of the Garogas being able to, having seen Zone Fighter, given some context of what we have acknowledged earlier, having now seen Zone Fighter beginning to end, it's clear that the Garogas are far more cartoony villains. I think Alex had made the comparison to, like, Invader Zim, which is...
Yeah, they're like the Urkins.
Yeah, they're not that bright despite the armada that they have. With that said, like I said, the situation obviously KWC rooms for, whatever, so it's like, this is a universe where the Garogas have conquered the Earth. Okay, cool, got it. And I think with that in mind, it does set up some interesting stakes for the Seatopians. I like the setup to this, I like the fight that transpires, and I think it does decent utilization of the monsters. And I also like the fact that it's like, it shifts, like, even if it's really quickly, it shifts from Seatopia to Easter Island. Like, the fight goes places. That's nice. I think this is all around like a very solid match that I'd say goes above average. That is above average. It's not great, but I'd say I found something like this far more enjoyable than the last few we've read. This is a really fun match, and I remember liking it like when I first read it so many years ago, and I'm glad I still really like it now because I do like this setup and this. I do like the setup. I like the story, and I like the fight that transpires. So, and it's interesting. It's a very interesting little match. I do kind of wish that the Garogas maybe had a little bit more of their spunk, but this is clearly, I think it takes itself a little too seriously, personally. I think a little bit of that extra, Garoga campiness could have helped, but, all in all, I think this is a perfectly fine KWC from Joshua Reynolds, and for being one of the earlier ones since we took over, I think it's pretty good. I also have to acknowledge, the banner is beautiful. That is a beautiful banner from Jackson Morris. Wow, does it look... It looks really good. And I love the extra little details of, Antonio in the foreground while Megalon and Zandora fight. That's fantastic. I love it. A very, a strong banner to complement a decent match, in my eyes. Nevertheless, we'll go down the list. Bacon, what'd you think of it?
What, you're just gonna skip me? I see how it is.
First of all,
okay, yeah.
First off, great shot. Get fucked 100.
Dick blasted.
Also, way to let whites go first.
Wait, I'm white.
It didn't matter.
Damn.
Hey,
I mean, out of the ones that we've read out of these past 2 days, this is a pretty decent match. I haven't seen Zone Fighter yet, but from what I've heard, when I heard in the story where they're like, we conquered everything, and Gamera, Ultraman, Zone Fighter, and Godzilla lost, bit unrealistic, but my headcanon is that this is a dream. This is all a fever dream that they had.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Even in their dreams, they can't win.
Oh, damn. Well, maybe they found some spice from the Star Wars galaxy.
Anyway.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent match.
Wow.
Alright.
Wow.
Great shot. What'd you think of it?
So for this one, I'm just gonna first off and say that while the match is good, the banner by Jackson Morris is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had messaged him being like, "Oh yeah, the KWC is back. Would you still want to be part of it?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sure. What do you have in mind?" I was like, "Oh, Megalon versus Zandora or Zandola." was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I got this back, and I was like, oh my god. So, yeah, this is just amazing, and I think it's one of his best banners because of just the style and the fact that you have like Antonio looking afar. There's just a lot of great detail in there, and it really does look like almost like a painting of some sort, which I think the best banners of Morse's look like Muto versus Bagam being like another good example. Regardless, though, to the actual banner itself, yeah, the Garoga actually winning is like ridiculous. But regardless, it says a nice setup with the Cetopians being left alone, having Megalon be competent and win a match is also a nice change of pace. So I also liked where the sequel set up, which was for Jakiro. So overall, awesome battles throughout, a wonderful setup, fantastic banner. Make this a very memorable KWC match. Maybe not in regards to the actual what happens with the battle itself, in regards to like how the monsters duke it out, but with the atmosphere, the setup, the shots, I think it really does lead to a more, at least a match you won't forget. Maybe one you can't like, list in detail what exactly happens, but if I were to show you the banner, you'd be like, oh yeah, that match.
All right. Anything else, or do you feel like you've said what you need to say?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Alex, what'd you think of it?
It was okay. Banner was fantastic. Yeah, I guess it was probably one of the better ones we've read recently. Even though this is an MM match.
Alex begrudgingly admitting it's good.
I just said it was okay.
Take back your call, then.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. And Ditto, what'd you think of it?
Ooh, me?
Yes, you.
I thought it was a good match. It's probably one of my favorite ones so far that we've ridden. Or rode. No. Ried. Yeah.
Yes,
so far, with that, say, Baggin versus Destroyer falling behind it. I agree. After watching Zone Fighter, the Grogas are not like this all-powerful empire. They get their teeth kicked in pretty often.
Right.
But it was still an interesting little match. Also, the setup was pretty cool. I don't think we've gotten that match yet. Megalon and Gigan versus Jikron.
Spyler.
I don't think it's happened yet.
195. 195 is the sequel to this.
Yep. The banner is also really good. Like, I agree with everyone else. I like the golden colors to it, and Antonio looking on as the battle rages. My only one nitpick is that Megalon looks like he's firing molten squeezed cheese out of his horn.
He's going through a rough patch.
No, other than that, I'd say it's like a really good match. Yeah.
But yeah. Alright. And I think everyone said what they need to say, and with that said, this has been match 145, and we'll see you guys next time for match 146. Till then, everyone.